वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. This talk will focus on the topic of Karma Yoga as detailed in chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita and a few relevant references from other chapters. The Bhagavad Gita is presented to us as a discourse between the ardent disciple Arjuna and the Guru, Lord Krishna, who is the Supreme Being Himself. In the pursuit of limitless truth, this is one of the most important conversations recorded between man and God. Throughout the Gita, Arjuna is trying to find a solution to his internal dilemma by asking a series of questions, doubts, and getting clarifications from Lord Krishna. The picture we are seeing is a very nice picture of the Guru and the disciple. We can clearly see that the Lord is holding a whip in his left hand, signifying that he is a charioteer and not the warrior in this war. The Lord is constantly reminding us that he will give us direction, give us path towards freedom or moksha. The salient questions posed by Arjuna to Lord Krishna in chapter 3 are: there are choices before me, pursue the path of knowledge or the path of action. Why then should I choose the path of action, this terrible war? As confusion persists in Arjuna's mind, he asks another question: can you tell me one path by which I may attain the ultimate goal of self knowledge? And the last question Arjuna asks in this chapter is: in spite of knowing what is right and wrong, what is that force that makes us choose adharma and hence prevents me to pursue karma yoga? These questions give us a glimpse into the confusions that is within Arjuna. What can we learn from these questions? Most importantly, do we have the same questions? How relevant are these questions in the world that we live in? The Mahabharata is essentially about the various influences of the household dilemmas, about relationships, and at its core, a property dispute. These are the very same factors which plague the quality of existence for humankind to this very day. Lord Krishna patiently answers Arjuna in an attempt to clear his confusion, and in doing so, gives us a solution to face our own wars. To decode and understand the teachings of the Lord, we will break down and categorize Arjuna's questions to a number of simpler questions in the context of the modern world. They are: what is Karma Yoga and why Karma Yoga? Next one: how to do Karma Yoga and its relationship with Yajna. And the third one: what is the relationship between Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga? The fourth one is: what are the challenges or obstacles to Karma Yoga? Let's begin with the first question. What is Karma Yoga and why Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga is proper action with proper attitude. Karma is proper action and yoga is proper attitude. Karma is classified into three categories. First is sattvic or selfless actions. Second is rajasic or selfish actions. And finally, the third, tamasic or adharmic actions. Sattvic karma are the actions where you always take less and give more to the society. You will work for the welfare and benefit of the society. It is also known as nishkama karma. Rajasic karma will always lead you to the path of unhappiness. You work for the benefit of yourself and the immediate associates. Materialistic benefit like money, wealth is the main goal here. Tamasic karma are the actions where you benefit at the cost of others. They are usually harmful or hurtful activities. It challenges the very existence of the humankind. The karma yogi's goal is to increase selfless actions, to decrease selfish actions, and the final goal is to eliminate completely the adharmic actions. Karma Yoga has to be understood with these two important concepts: Ishwararpana Bhavana and Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. Every action we perform with the right attitude as an offering to the Lord is Ishvara Arpana Bhavana. The fruits of the actions is called karma phalam. This phala should be received with an attitude of prasada buddhi. The Ishvara Arpana buddhi coupled with Ishvara prasada bhavana gives us samatvam to help us in the path of spiritual progress. There is a saying amongst farmers. They say, sow deep, but sow in the moist soil. It is not enough to sow deep, but there should be moisture also in the soil. This combination results in a high yield. A Karma Yogi's guiding principle is also to sow deep, that is, to pursue excellence and dedication in work, and should have moisture, which is to dedicate that work with devotion to the Lord. The ultimate goal of a spiritual seeker is moksha. Lord Krishna says, Lokesmin dvividha nishtha pura prokta mayanaka. Since time immemorial, there are two stages in the path to attain enlightenment given in the Vedas. It can be attained by Karma Yoga, the yoga of action for active people in the society, and Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge for contemplative individuals. All of us have to perform Karma Yoga and graduate to Jnana Yoga to attain moksha. Although there are very few exceptions to this, where the seeker can pursue Jnana Yoga directly. A Karma Yogi possesses a unique knowledge, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, which gives him clear understanding of the roadmap that is required to discover his true self, which makes him realize that he does not need to look outwards for eternal happiness, it is within himself. He has complete clarity of what he needs to do. It is the path of Karma Yoga for purification of the mind, which leads to Jnana Yogyata, followed by Upasana Yoga or meditation for calm mind, culminating finally with Jnana Yoga to discover the true self or the Atma. There is a choice of Nishta lifestyles for a spiritual seeker. One, the lifestyle of a sannyasi who is passive, secluded, and renounces worldly interactions. Two, a householder who is activity oriented, involved in work which benefit the society. We can choose either or a combination of both lifestyles to accomplish our spiritual goals. Most of us are at a stage in life where we are householders and lead a worldly life. Arjuna also falls in this category, who was a warrior and householder. For such yogis or active individuals, the path of action or karma yoga is most appropriate. The main indications of a karma yogi is when he displays a balanced state of mind amidst actions. That is, samatvam yoga uchyate, which is actions are done with an attitude of learning in success or failures, and primary goal is the inner growth leading to spiritual wisdom. Krishna gives several reasons to highlight why action is important. Eva sanyasanat, that is mere renouncing activities, responsibilities, duties or service is not going to get naishkarmyam, moksha or eternal peace. This means physical withdrawal from the world or external sannyasatva does not give moksha. Every person has got his own swabhava that is governed by three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, which is born out of Prakriti, the cause of creation. Therefore, everyone has to engage in action governed by the three gunas of one's swabhava. Prakriti Jair Gunai Karyate. Inaction for an immature person unaware of any spiritual goal is not advised. One who is physically withdrawn from sensual pleasures, that is karmendriyani samyamya, but internally goes after pleasures like a worldly person is a hypocrite or mityachari. Such a person is vimudaha, deluded and confused. So, the essence of the answer to this question lies in this beautiful example. A person can cut another person for two reasons. You can hurt someone or save someone with surgical operation. Action is the same, but the attitude is different. The Karma Yogi strives to be a force for good. Moving on to our next question, that is how to do Karma Yoga and what is its relationship with Yagna. Vedas prescribe Panchamaha Yajna as guiding principle for selfless actions. Krishna advises Arjuna to perform these Panchamaha Yajna as niyatam, that is, commandments of the Lord. These Panchamaha Yajnas are Deva Yajna, where an exclusive time is dedicated to a sincere, heartfelt prayer to God and His creation. Then it is Pitra Yajna. It is to express our gratitude to all our ancestors. Next is Brahma Yajna, where we dedicate this time to express our gratitude to great rishis who have recorded and done Vidya Danam of Hindu scriptures and epics, followed by Manushya Yajna, a mandatory selfless action dedicated towards service of the society. Finally, last but not the least, Bhuta Yajna, which is very relevant today, our commitment and respect to our environment around us. These yajnas are considered sattvic karmas. It contributes to the welfare of the entire universe and promotes spiritual growth. The Vedas have clearly prescribed a life which includes the components of the yajnas like contribution, sacrifice, sharing for the harmony and progress of the society. This life of yajna, in other words, a life of karma yogi, ensures a balanced pursuit of materialism like dharmartha kama as well as the self knowledge. Krishna advises Arjuna, Yajnarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha, which means perform all actions as worship to the Lord without mukta sangaha, attachments and expectations. Actions performed without devotion cause bondage. This bondage results in anxiety, stress, and strain. Krishna further goes on to say, dedicate all your work to the Lord and consider material prosperity as subservient to the spiritual growth. This will help you accept the outcome as Ishvara Prasada, and it also promotes purification of the mind, enhancing your spiritual growth. A way of life by which you maintain the harmony of the creation is called dharma. We, the human individuals, are all interconnected with other human beings and non living beings, like the oceans, the rivers, the plants, animals, environment, seasons, and so on. To understand the interdependencies, let us look at the well known study conducted by MIT called the butterfly effect. It is said that the flapping of the butterfly wings in the Amazon could cause a tornado thousands of miles away. This study lays foundation to the principle of how even little actions can have non-linear impacts on a complex system. Karma yoga, or performing good actions in everyday life, is crucial for the very existence of the human race. To understand the value of good karma, Krishna helps us understand the concept of the cosmic cycle. We are born out of food. That is, Annad Bhavanti Bhutani. Food is because of rain. Parjanyadanna Sambhavaha. Rain is because of invisible factor Punyam. Yajnad Bhavati Parjanyo. Yajna in this context is Punyam, and the Punyam is cosmic harmony. Cosmic harmony is because of yajna as sacrifice. And what is the cause of yajna? It is the karma yoga. Yajna karma samudbhava. And karma or actions come from the human beings, resulting in birth, rebirth cycle. So human beings are born because of karma. We have to note that cosmic harmony is possible only when we respect nature. Karma Yoga as dharma is a way of life. It helps in maintaining the harmony of the creation, harmony within the individual, harmony at the level of family, community, religion, society, nation, and ultimately even ecological. It is important to reiterate that our commitment to perform good actions however small they may be, has an impact in maintaining the balance of the cosmic cycle. After enumerating on Karma Yoga, Krishna advises Arjuna, Tasmad Satatam Karyam Karma Samachara. That is, to perform his duty as a warrior without attachment, Asaktaha, which will lead him in the path of Jnana Yoga and attain the supreme, that is, Mokshaha, Paramapnoti Purushaha. We come to another important question. What is the connection between Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga? The essence of Jnana Yoga, as revealed by the Lord, is that the spiritual seeker, with self inquiry, with the help of the Guru and the scriptures, does the biggest discovery that whatever I have been seeking in life, the security, peace, happiness, they are already within me. Atma Triptascha. He no longer derives pleasure and satisfaction from external sources. He revels in the eternal essence which he has learned to recognize within himself. Atma Ratireva Syad. He no longer has to look outside for happiness. By losing all sense of doership, he enjoys doing action whenever there is a situation, and he enjoys not doing also. Example like the movie screen, where emotions are played out on the movie screen. Once the movie ends, the movie screen remains undisturbed. Similarly, the Jnani, realizing his higher I, the Atma, is not affected by either the karma or its phalams. He performs actions sincerely and cheerfully out of fulfillment and remains detached or unbinded towards the actions and its results. Atmanyevacha santushtastasya karyam na vidyate. For most individuals, Karma Yoga is a preparatory step to practice Jnana Yoga. Without Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga is incomplete. Without Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga is impossible. Therefore, we have to follow Karma Yoga, then pursue Vedantic study through Jnana Yoga and attain self knowledge. The Jnani has a unique way of performing actions known as Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam, that is, skill in action. Any action we do in the world at the body mind level or ego has a sense of doership which binds us to the actions and incurs Papa Punyam, which propagates the birth rebirth cycle. These actions are called binding karmas. A jnani does actions selflessly with sole intention of attaining spiritual wisdom and not for material benefits. He is the facilitator performing actions through body mind and not the doer of actions. This way, he does not incur further papa punyams. These are liberating or unbinding karmas. Yogaha karmasu kaushalam, that is skill in action, is converting all our binding karmas to liberating karmas. Krishna provides examples of individuals who gained liberation through Karma Yoga. He does this to demonstrate that Karma Yoga is indeed the right path to follow. King Janaka, even though being a warrior and remaining in a life of duties or responsibilities, achieved self realization, that is, samsiddhim, through performance of Karma Yoga. Sri Krishna speaks about himself as an example of an ideal Karma Yogi. He had attained a state of supreme independence where he no longer needed to act or attain, that is, anavaptma. Yet he continued to act spontaneously and joyfully in the service of humanity, that is, Loka Sangraha. Sri Krishna adds that if he does not do his social duties, which is Panchamahayajna, then so many would follow in his footsteps, thinking that violating them was the standard practice. On the other hand, if he did his duty enthusiastically, the whole world will follow his way of life and therefore advises Arjuna to follow his duty, which is his swadharma, that is, do the dharma yuddha for the welfare of the society. Krishna reiterates to Arjuna that in doing so, he would serve as a role model for generations to come after him. One of the great Jnana yogis, Sri Ramakrishna, talks about Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga with this wonderful quote. When performed without attachment, the action becomes an easy way to obtain the real goal in life, which is communion with God. We have talked about what is Karma Yoga, how to do it, and how is it related to Jnana Yoga as told by the Lord to Arjuna. Now let us see what are the challenges and obstacles for Karma Yoga. Ram and Shyam were a couple of childhood friends who went through their successful careers together. When time came to construct their houses, Ram wanted to build a bigger house than Shyam. He only wanted to use top materials and was trying to construct beyond his means. Shyam, in addition to building a house, wanted to buy a fancy car and was succumbing to the competition syndrome. All along, both did not realize this simple action of constructing a house was drifting their relationship apart, bringing unhappiness and all the modern diseases to their doorstep. This story resonates all around us. The status of our job, the marriage, the welfare of our kids and our grandkids, the wealth we leave behind for them, and so on. Why is it so? Krishna highlights a few attributes which strongly influence this never ending list of negative actions. Raga Dvesha, the strong likes and dislikes. Then Kama, the desires. Krodha, anger or disappointment. And to top this list, it is the ahankara or ego that gives us a false sense of I-ness. These vices influence and challenge every minute of our existence. This is a perfect scenario of the so called samsara. Is there hope then? Is there a solution to this list of actions? Is the path of Karma Yoga for householders attainable? To understand how the attachments derail the pursuit of Karma Yoga, we have to understand how the actions and thoughts are related to the vices. Every person has got a swabhava, that is, inherent nature. The Swabhava produces thoughts in the form of likes and dislikes. We do not have control over Swabhava. The vices Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Madha, and Matsarya show up as thoughts in the mind. It is to be understood that the continued existence of these thoughts in our mind is totally under our control. Should I nourish these thoughts? Should I intelligently divert my attention from this type of a harmful thought to a positive thought or a healthy thought? Answers to all these questions are under our control. The danger, however, is that if we nourish these thoughts, they become stronger and crystallize into words. These words will manifest into harmful actions, taking us away from our spiritual path. Krishna says that Karma Yoga is for everyone. With time, he instructs that the householder has to mature and grow out of these attachments to attain the higher self, which is moksha or freedom. Krishna in this chapter is talking about a subset of these vices, in particular, Kama Krodha, as the main hindrances in the pursuit of Karma Yoga. Krishna emphasizes desire or Kama should be kept under control. Desires function at all three levels of our personality: the senses, the mind, and the intellect. These are the adhishtanams or the base of the desires. Desires originate in the form of likes and dislikes in the senses. When entertained, they become strong desires in the mind. If we begin to justify and rationalize these desires, that means it has penetrated to our intellect, which clouds our discriminative capability or viveka. It is extremely difficult to tackle such desires because they have completely taken hold of our senses, our mind, and our intellect. The picture shown depicts a familiar sight, a challenge to our diet plan. We all know the right answer, isn't it? But most of us will choose the convenient answer. Ahankara or ego, the Prakriti Guna, is a function of the mind that gives us a sense of I-ness or mindness or the doership for all our activities. That is the kartatvam due to self ignorance. By law of karma, it is the bhokta as well, the one who reaps the results of the actions. So, ahankara as karta and bhokta is responsible for all the karma associated with worldly experiences. An agnani or ignorant person identifies with ahankara and is deluded. Prakrite guna sammudaha. In other words, ignorant person falsely assumes he is karta bhokta. In doing so, he is always in bondage of pleasure and pain, the ups and downs of life. How does one overcome desire then? Sri Krishna provides a Vedantic technique to remove the desires for good. Krishna says we have to discipline our senses, mind, and intellect to begin with. Sri Krishna emphasizes that we should kill this enemy called kama or desire through the knowledge of the self. There is a reference in Vedanta on a particular method to reveal Atma called Panchakosha Viveka. Krishna teaches a simplified model of Panchakosha Viveka to Arjuna. Panchakosha Viveka is a discernment of the self or Atma from the five koshas of human personality. He describes that the body is made up of gross matter. Superior to the body are the five knowledge bearing senses. Superior to the senses is the mind. This mind is tracking and collecting ever changing data from all the sense organs. Superior to the mind is the intellect with its ability to discriminate. But beyond the intellect is the Atma, which enlivens the senses, mind, and intellect. Superior in this context means that which is subtler, spiritually more matured, and inward growth in reference to the Atma. Krishna tells Arjuna, Evam Buddha, to know about that Atma which is Param Buddhi, superior to even the intellect, which is the objectifier of the intellect and the subject behind the intellect. He says to own up to this Atma by claiming, I am that Atma, real I, and I use my lower I, the body mind complex, for transacting with the world. By nididhyasanam, that is, dwelling upon or internalizing upon this teaching, one eventually discovers Purnatva. Krishna says to Arjuna, to discover this Purnatvam and Jahidura Sadam Shatrum Kamarupam. Destroy this enemy which is in the form of desire. This will take a person to Atmana Atmanam Samstabhya, that is, from I am a finite, insecure individual to I am an infinite, limitless, pure Atma or Brahman. Krishna offers a word of caution here. Sometimes the ahankara and desires are so strong that you have to go on doing sadhana and wait for your turn to come, just like the fetus enveloped in the womb waits for its time to come into this world. It might require several janams to remove the desires. As I conclude, the essence of Karma Yoga is aptly described in this verse. मयि सर्वाणि कर्माणि सन्न्यास्याध्यात्मचेतसा निराशी निर्ममो भूत्वा युध्यस्व विगतज्वरः. Some of the key takeaways are definition of work is samatvam. Samatvam is a summation of Ishwararpana Buddhi where we do our work selflessly with devotion to God, and Ishvara Prasada Buddhi, that is, accept the result of actions as Ishvara Prasada. Karma Yoga is a path to lead us to Jnana Yoga, the ultimate goal of spiritual seeker. The butterfly effect. Always understand that simplest and smallest of good actions can transform humanity. Desire is the major roadblock for Karma Yoga. This has to be kept under control by performing actions without attachments. This picture in the slide has a nice story to it. As Arjuna, convinced with Lord's teachings, fires the arrow during the Mahabharata war to salute Sri Bhishma's feet. So should be the case in our daily life. We should perform our work joyfully as worship to the Lord. In summation, The goal of every karma yogi is to attain spiritual wisdom that makes him realize he is Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma, which is, I am the Atma behind my body and all the bodies. This realization helps him to develop detachment from the body and does not identify with body or the fruits of any action. I would like to leave you with a wonderful quote that I came across, which describes the essence of Karma Yoga that is hidden in the first two words of Gita. The first two words are Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. Rearranging the words, it becomes Kshetre Kshetre Dharmam Kuruhu. This reveals a simple truth, which is in all walks of your life, do your duty. Thank you. Hari Om.